What's up, everyone? Carmine Danisco here. We got an awesome show today. We have a show starting up. It's going to be awesome. We got a lot of cool stuff happening. It's called the Shark Tank Effect. We got the people, the stories, the products, the fun, and the drama, which is really what you guys want to hear about. Let me bring on the star of the show, Mr. Christopher Guerrera. Chris, what's up, man?
Hey, Carmine, they're having a lot of fun these days, right? Back to back to back national shows.
I'm tired, man. I'm tired.
I'll tell you, the first week back was, it seems like my phone hasn't stopped ringing. But I mean, what a trio of shows we've had. We've had some really some pretty cool pitch panels. We even had Mindy from Shark Tank Casting show up at the Inspired Home Show. It's just been, the feedback has been phenomenal, and the team we're building has been absolutely amazing.
Well, you know, the people and things that you're putting together at these shows, yeah, it's phenomenal. But, you know, not only is it a lot of work, but it's the camaraderie. The people that you're bringing together really seem to work awesome in these shows. Mostly the Shark Tank people. I know we have people from all different walks, all different businesses, different types of corporations. But, you know, these Shark Tank, I want to say entrepreneurs, these Shark Tank winners, these Shark Tank alum, man, these guys are awesome. They really want to give back to the community and the inventor community. It's so great to see.
Yeah, you know, it's part of that. You know, you've been through it, right? You've been through that process, so you understand how difficult it is to get on stage and then to get aired, right? And it does change people's lives. So we're trying to tell that story a little bit. You know, we had Larry doing some of these video showcases at the show. Well, let's bring on our guests. Let's bring on Brian and Kirk with Turbo Trusser, and you guys will you can't forget them, because that's what was memorable for me. I think they showed up in like chicken outfits or something. You won't forget. So welcome, Brian and Kirk.
What's up? Hey guys, thanks so much for having us on. Really appreciate it. I'm Brian, and we've got Kirk here as well. Yes, we came out on Shark Tank in a full chicken and turkey costumes, and it was related to our product, the Turbo Trusser, which is used when you cook whole chickens and turkeys. So it was a great way for us to bring some, you know, excitement to the show, kind of that you know, theatrical part of it, but then also tie it right into our product and on with a demonstration on the show with Kevin O'Leary. Kirk, anything to add there?
Yeah, it was exciting. It was definitely, you go on national TV with head to toe costumes on. It was a little nerve wracking, but now getting in front of any camera is a piece of cake after being on the show.
I can recall telling Carmine, who are these crazy people? And now that we really got to know Brian and Kirk, I mean, what two really good people, not just like entrepreneurs, right? I mean, they got on Shark Tank, that speaks for themselves, but just individuals, the kind of people they are. There are kind of people, folks that want to be part of a bigger team and to really help the community. How did you guys actually meet? I always find that interesting, how partners meet, because you guys just seem to get along well, and you're a lot alike, and you're just fun to be around.
It's an interesting story, and in most situations, by the way we met, we probably wouldn't be friends. I actually hired Kirk from a recommendation from somebody to do a renovation. I had just moved. This was about 7 years ago. Bought a new house. It needed some renovations. And off a recommendation, I interviewed Kirk and hired him. And he was at my house for probably 3 months too long. Showed up sporadically when he could, like a typical contractor. But, you know, what was unique about Kirk was he was in the middle of, you know, he did great work, but he was in the middle of inventing a product he called it the Kirk wrench. And it's a wrench that goes in like 800 different positions. And he had these prototypes. And he was talking to me. I'd be there at the end of his day and we'd have a beer. Maybe sometimes he started talking to me about inventing. And I was like, wow, that is so cool. Tell me more about this. And, because I'd never invented anything. I had an entrepreneurial spirit. I had started a business. My first business was it was called the Lice Wizard. And it was for cleaning head lice out of kids' hair. It was a small business in Canton, Ohio, and I sold it and used that money to start a business for Kirk and I, actually, part of that. But so we met, and he was an inventor, and I became really curious about it and wanted to learn more. So I just started reading up about it, And eventually we decided that we would go into business together and invent something, not the Kirk wrench, but our own product lines, and see if we could license those products, which was our goal at that time.
And Kirk, what do you
Yeah.
think? Another demanding customer. He wants it
Yeah.
every day. He wants it done by next week.
Yeah, well, the thing is I filed for all these patents and everything. So usually I do one job at a time, but at this time, when I was doing his job, I had 3 going because I needed the money to get my business going. So I'd, show up there every once in a while. But when he first came up to me, I was like, yeah, I'd love to have an inventing partner because it's hard to do it on your own, man. And I was on my own. My wife at the time, she she really wasn't interested at all in it. So when he said, hey, let's do it, I was like, great, I want to do it, but it's not going to be nearly as complicated as my wrench. When we invent products, we want to make them simple, easy to manufacture, easy, mass market. So then that's what we started working in the barbecue, because then we could drink beer and test our products and cook food while we're working. So
now you know why I like you guys so much. It's right in my sweet spot.
So funny. So hey, real
It's
quick,
like,
Chris, I
how
know
can we make an excuse to go out and drink beer and cook food and consider it work?
I want to
Yeah,
throw
right.
that in there. Do you guys think that enjoying, inventing into doing things that you enjoy, does that help?
Oh yes, for sure. I mean, it's great. I mean, it's the best thing if we're doing something that, we're if we would do like a kitty litter invention or something, nothing against that, but it's not as exciting as, cooking chickens and turkeys and, and everything else that goes with it. And then with the recipes that we have, with all the leftover stuff, we can make enchiladas and tacos and chicken noodle soup and all the other things. So, I mean, yeah, it's all based around having fun and eating well and drinking beer and, just coming up with more ideas.
So that leads me into the next quick segment here about shows, right? So we started doing these national shows, and I was telling Carmine, we have such a great network of people. Let's put them all together. They all want to help. Let's put them all on stages. Let's give back to the community. Let's start up pitch panels and educational panels. And now there's so much interest in us doing all the national shows that, we're just coming off these back-to-back shows. You guys are a part of that. So talk about that a little bit, because you guys being on stage and talking to inventors, like even for me at my level, I find like the things you talk about are so educational and it's so real world. That's the key. It's not somebody selling items, right? It's talking about, it's the stories. They're real life stories. And when I hear it, everybody has a different story. Everyone has a different path. And like even what you guys are saying, how you guys met, it's just enlightening to me. And it just gives so much inspiration and hope for people trying to do it, that it motivates everybody. So talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I would say, being a part of the UIA and these 2 events, we're at the National Hardware Show and then the International Houseware Show. It was unbelievable for me. And Kirk can even go back a little further when he tells his story. He actually got a booth at a National Hardware Show in the UIA area, or it might have been called something different then, and did the pitching for that wrench years ago. So he can experience it from 2 different, angles. But for me, being up there, being able to, be on a pitch panel and give an inventor some honest feedback and try to help them out by, asking questions that maybe they didn't think about. It's incredible that's out there for people to go and get this really top-notch people on stage giving you real feedback. I mean, you guys are bringing in people from All-Star Products, the inventors of the Snuggie. I mean, you've got people from Home Shopping Network up there giving feedback to inventors. I don't know where else you could get that level of feedback. I don't think you can.
Yeah, and Brian's exactly right. I went with the Kirk wrench in 2017 to the hardware show. And that's actually where I found the licensee. He came to my booth a couple years later, but he wanted issued patents. So when my patent issued, Brian and I were then teaming up, and then we signed the contract. It didn't go anywhere, but giving back to the community, that's the hardest part about being an inventor, is you think you're alone. Like when everybody first started inventing, like when I did, I had no idea. I was on Amazon looking for books. You just can't pick up the phone and just call somebody. Well, you can now, but back then it's different. So giving back to us is like really important, because You feel like you're like in a no man's land when you first start out. You don't know what to do. Do I file patents? Do I just do PPAs? What path should I take? Who should I pitch to if I want to license it? If I want to manufacture it, who do I talk to? All those things. That's what we're here for, to help people. And for free for us. I mean, when we're part of the United Inventors Association, exactly. And we just want to give back to the community because we know how difficult it is.
Yeah, and I look at like the array of different people, right? We have folks that, like the United States Patent Office was there, right? The trademark office. We have attorneys. We have QVC, HSN, All Star Products. We have all these Shark Tank winners, these talented people who are just like everybody else. They were trying to get a product launched and get it in public view, and then you got an opportunity to go on Shark Tank. It wasn't like you're not talking about something that you haven't done. Like, these are all pros. And what I find is within this community, everybody really does truly want to help each other, and it is a phone call away. I just got on the phone before we got on this call for an hour with this woman Kelly from the Drip Lock product, and she's a 20-year-old kid in college. She's had some questions because she doesn't understand. I'm like, yeah, just here, you got my cell number, call me. I'm happy to walk you through some of the things you need to do. And that's what I find. Like, I come out of corporate America, so I've run really big automotive companies where you have to have really good structure and systems, and the most important thing I find out of all of that is the people. When you forget who the people are, I don't care how good your product is. If you don't have a good team, your product will never stay afloat. Like having people who like each other, that want to work with each other, that want to help each other, and just having you guys join the group, I've learned so much more about you guys. Like our amazing car ride, we have so much fun, and it'll be a memory we'll have forever. But then hanging out with everybody afterwards, right? Having a nice dinner and just talking and joking and having fun. I think that's what brings everybody together. And that's what everybody wants to be part of. So let's talk Shark Tank. So talk about how that whole thing started for you guys, because I still don't believe a lot of people understand how difficult it is, like, especially to get aired, right? But like, to start the process, it's not like you make a phone call and in 2 weeks you're on Shark Tank, right? And it's a lot of entertainment along with some real negotiations, and then there's a lot of due diligence before and a lot after. So walk through that whole process, how you two, you said, hey, we got a pretty cool product, it works, we like it, let's bring it to Shark Tank. Talk about that.
So we launched our, Kirk and I, we did the whole, we went out and pitched for licensing, right? So every product we've ever invented, our goal initially is to try to find a licensing partner if we can. And we think that that's a great potential model. If you can find the right partner, it can, take a lot of the burden off of the inventors, where the licensing partner can do a lot of the work or most of it. So we got some great feedback from that. And although we didn't get a licensing agreement, COVID was right in the middle of COVID. Companies were really just trying to, solidify their own supply chains, let alone bringing on new products from an inventor that the market maybe is not fully tested. So with all that feedback, we decided to go ahead and launch our product. We did that in November 1st of 21. So I think right away we applied for Shark Tank. You go online, you fill out it's a pretty quick form, and you hope and pray that you get a call. That's all we knew. Prior to the COVID, I do know that there was like open casting calls, and you would go to a city, get in line and pitch, and they would narrow it down that way. But for our experience, it was online, submit, and hope they call. So we didn't hear anything. And our first two months in business, we did about $50,000 in sales. So we thought, okay, we've got some momentum. Maybe we should apply again now that we have some sales. So I just went online and applied again. And that was probably February of 22. And then we got a call. It was like April. We got a call, and somebody was like, hey, this is Shark Tank. We'd like to, start the process of considering you for going on Shark Tank. And, one thing that they made abundantly clear every time you talk to them was that there was no guarantee you were going to get a call the very next week.
Right. So you're not getting a call and you're going on Shark Tank, right? So it's like the first call, which sets up the next, if you're lucky enough, the next 8 or 9 versions of doing videos and presentations and pitches to different groups of Shark Tank.
Exactly. And so, they contact us, they tell us to write a pitch and make a video and send it back in, and we'll go from there. So Kirk and I sat down.
That's when we said we need to have the costumes on. That's number one. We were just like, we got to have full costumes. If we're going to make this video, so we got on Amazon, ordered some costumes, and Brian's was ridiculously funny. You couldn't get like a regular chicken. It had air in it. And he
I had one of those big inflatable chickens. We still have the video. Someday we'll be able to share it. But I had this big inflatable chicken on. Kirk had his the turkey suit he wore the whole time. And we sat in my kitchen and made a video. And, basically a very similar pitch to what ended up being our pitch on Shark Tank. And so we sent that in and continued down the process every week, being told, all right, send in this huge amount of information, fill out all of these financials, send all this in, and we might call you next week. And they just continued to whittle it down until they called us and said, okay, we're going to book your flight. You're going to go out and tape in LA, but there's still no guarantee that you're going to air on TV.
Bring your costumes.
I remember the last call I had was, okay, this is the final pitch. You're going to pitch it in front of the executive producers. Make sure it's your best. I'm like, what do you mean? I've been doing, every one was my best. I'm going to continue to do it the same way, right? But that was like, okay, this is it. This is the final stage till you get that call when you say, okay, we're going to book your flight.
Yeah, and we did that executive pitch. You're right. I remember that. And we had to do it virtually. We're back in my kitchen. We're in the good suits now. I got my real chicken suit, and we do the pitch, and they made the call and flew us out there. But it's still, I mean, when you get out there and everything's like, you're going to go in here, and there's still no guarantee you're going to even tape. If you get a deal, there's all this due diligence. So I mean, it's a lot. And from what we understand, 40 to 50,000 people apply every year. They narrow that down to about 125 that maybe tape and maybe 100 air.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, real quick. So what's the stress level like now as this is growing from week to week to week? I mean, it must be like, that's all you can think about.
It was crazy. It's like, it just consumed us. I mean, it's all we thought about, all we think about, because it had to be, we tried to be perfect. Everything we did, everything had to be submitted. And Brian submitted all the forms, and they would ask for something. And Brian, man, he was on it. Just as soon as he got it, worked on it, got it in. And we worked together on some things, but when it came to submitting all the paperwork, he took charge of that, and it really helped us a lot by being astute in getting the forms in quickly and getting things there, being very responsive to their questions.
Think about being like during COVID, we were locked in a room for 10 days, pitched on the 11th day. So think about, like, I just wanted to get it by the 5th day. I'm like, okay, I just want to get it over with, because like you're saying the pitch, over and over and over. I'm saying it at night. I'm going to the bathroom. I'm saying the pitch, and I'm going to sleep at 2 a.m. I'm waking saying the pitch. And it's kind of funny, because all that said, fast forward 11th day, we're downstairs and we're doing a pitch, and I actually messed up my line. So they're like, you're just joking, right? I'm like, oh no, I screwed up. But when the camera's running, I won't. Trust me. They're like, really? You messed up? I go, yeah, relax. When the camera's running, I promise you, I won't mess up. Like, so they're like, Judy, you got to remember his line. You got to remember her lines. I'm not remembering anybody's line. I remember my lines. I'm like, there's like so much. Like, I know I can't be an actor. I know that now for a fact, because all that beginning is acting, and I can never be a criminal because I can't be locked in a room. So I've learned those 2 things about me.
Yeah, well, I messed up my lines. Brian saved me. Brian saved the pitch.
No.
I froze.
You did?
I froze. And I froze.
There was
you didn't really see it. There's 2 spots, but the first one was when I was supposed to go over to where the butcher's twine was and the chickens, and he like elbowed me, and he's like, get over there. And then I like froze, because I was just shell shocked basically. And he started my line, and then I picked it up, and after that I was fine.
Yeah.
But but man,
I
yeah,
had the whole thing memorized. I
Yeah.
was like, just because you're just reading it in your head, it's
That's
like,
what I
okay,
did. Just
here's
over
my
and
boom.
over.
So
Yeah.
You know,
It-
I told Carmine, I pitched to Ford Motor Company executives, right? I pitched to BMW, like big projects, like $200 million projects. And this was different. It just was different. It was, I felt like I had everybody's emotion riding on me. I didn't want to let Judy down. My kids were calling me. My wife called me right before I went downstairs to tell me that someone wanted to talk to me at the house and she had a visitor. I'm like, what do you mean you have a visitor? And she puts a recording of my mother who had passed away that year. She had recorded a video of us and she played it. I'm like, Brandy,
oh,
you know, I'm going down to pitch to Shark Tank, right? Like,
Right.
you know, all that. So like there was so much for me, so much emotion captured in there. And when you go on, obviously when you go on the stage, it's like, oh, 30-second stare down, cameras everywhere. It just seemed, it was like tunnel vision a little bit, right? So like your muscle memory. So I can see, like, I can recall some of our friends getting, you know, freezing up on Shark Tank and I would make fun of them afterwards. That's just before I was on. I was like, dude, how did you freeze? You look like a complete idiot, but I can understand how it happens now.
it's crazy. And at one point I was in that chicken suit. This didn't air, but I'm in there and I'm sweating like a chicken on a rotisserie. And Barbara stops everything and she looks over. It's the producer and she goes, "Can somebody wipe him down? He is sweating." And I said, "I'm roasted up here in this suit."
Yeah.
And they patted me down and I got back up and we went back into the questions. But you know, it's stressful up there. And I can say one thing is I barely remember a lot of it. It's almost like a blur while you're in there and you remember bits and pieces when you get out.
Yeah, I think someone had told me when they were pitching, and this is a good analogy, it was like being in a car wreck and you're watching yourself crash.
That sounds
it's about right.
Right, because the questions are coming, you don't know what they're going to edit. You know, it's funny you said about the sweating thing. I didn't really sweat. I was worried about that. I had a cape on, a king cape, the crown. But I remember after I took the crown off and threw off the cape, then Judy was talking a little bit, and I felt like I still had the crown on my head. I remember feeling my head like this. So, because it was like the memory was of the crown on my head. I'm like, what the hell?
Having it there every time you're doing that pitch. It's just
right. Yeah, it's crazy. So, Kirk, what did you feel? So you got a little bit in shock. Again, if you're not used to being in front of a camera or talking at that level, it is extremely intimidating. Even for me, who I pitched at high levels, that was a different type of situation.
I would have blown it. I tell you right now.
Well, what happened? Well, see, I'm a contractor by trade, so you know, I don't get in front of a lot of people. I mean, I go sell jobs, you know, and stuff like that, but I'm not in front of groups of people.
You have honorary customers asking where the hell you are every week, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Usually that's over text message, so he doesn't even have to talk to us live.
Yeah, right. Exactly. But yeah, it was super intense. You know, because I'm just not used to being in front of people. And so, I mean, I try to memorize my lines, but when I go too much, it's just like, I got to stop doing it because I'm going to mess up. You know, I mean, it's just like, there was at some point I was like, I got to stop doing it because it's just, it's, you know, I was going to mess it up. So, but it was rough. It was great. It was the most intense experience of my life. I'll tell you that right now. It was crazy. And then
but doesn't it make you feel like now that you've done that, that's like, I would say you came out of your shell a little bit, right?
Absolutely.
Doesn't that make you feel like there's nothing you can't do now? Like you can do anything after being in that environment with that experience?
You're absolutely right. Because we went on Fox 8 News here in Cleveland, or up in Cleveland, we're in Canton, twice. Now the cameras are in front of us. I'm just like, whatever. It's nothing like Shark Tank. So
they're like in the producer's ear. Okay, get them off camera now.
Yeah.
Talking. Quick, cut.
Yeah, they're like, okay,
Yeah.
You've had enough time. You've got to go.
Right.
Pitching your product.
Right. Yeah. So right now it's just I feel like I can do anything. I mean, especially in front of cameras, because it's not going to get any more intense than that.
Went on stage with Kevin O'Leary. I mean, we planned it, and Kevin came up and actually demonstrated the use of our product with Kirk, and Kirk talked to him right side by side and showed him how to use it. I just stood up front and did a lot of the talking, but that part had to be was probably one of the most important parts of the entire pitch, was bringing Kevin up and getting him involved. So Kirk did a fantastic job when it came to that. He might have missed a line, but he didn't mess that part up.
No,
I calmed down.
No one notices that either, right? When you guys are doing and edit it, and you just like, you may think I even did some on my lines. I missed a couple parts, but no one knows. Like no one knows what my pitch was, right? So
That's right.
for me to do
Right.
it in the way they edit it, you'll never know. I know, but you'll never know as an audience. But how did that make you feel? Like you guys developed this product, you got it launched, and now you're standing in front of a guy who's been in this business. He's a shark. He's made hundreds of millions of dollars, and now you're showing him your product.
It's a dream come true. I mean, it's literally, it's every inventor's dream is to be up there. I mean, it's just, I couldn't believe it. We were, we're sitting in the green room and we were just, I just got to pinch myself. I'm like, I cannot believe we made it this far.
I think they showed us right before we walked in, before the doors opened, the first set, and they caught us. We were talking to each other, and I think we both were like, I can't believe we're out.
Yeah. I said, I can't believe we're in front of these doors right now.
Even all the way right there outside those doors, we both looked at each other like, is this really happening?
Well, it's funny you say that, because when me and Judy were standing side by side, so I was on the left, she was on the right, going into the first set of doors, where as you walk down the Shark Tank aisle, the producer, one of the camera guys, so I'm gonna count you down to 7, 6. He goes, and when I get to 1 and that door opens up, you better walk through it or I'm gonna start screaming at you. So Judy's, oh my God, I gotta say my last prayer. And I go, Judy, what's my name again? She's like, oh no.
Oh my God, she was probably ready to crap her pants.
Yeah. And then the doors
Literally,
opened up and the rest,
she was ready to try to test out her own product right now.
Yeah, it's kind of like a flash. You're right. Like you look at everything, for 30 seconds, you're smiling, the cameras are going, taking pictures, nobody's talking, and someone yells, go. And that's it, man. It's like, it's all muscle memory. Like you're talking and it's truly muscle memory. That's what I'm saying. Like being an actor, you at least get multiple shots if you screw up, right? They take cuts,
Yes.
do it over again. I've been through the whole thing. Not here.
Not
It's
Shark
real.
Tank. Yep. You got
they
one
might
shot.
edit it, but it's gonna, if it's good TV, it's gonna get shown.
Do you think that that's better though?
There was no take another cut of this.
No.
You messed up your lines. I have saved them. They included that on the pitch or on the show.
Do you think it's better though that it's just one and done? Because I know that when I know I can reshoot something, I'll do 20 takes.
Well,
Probably
I'll tell you
better
this.
one and done.
I've heard Kevin O'Leary say stuff like, I've seen people like freeze, right? And think about when you freeze and the level of stress and panic at that moment, trying to get back is not easy either, right? If you're by yourself, especially. And I even heard him say so you waited your whole life to get on this stage in front of us, and that's what you showed? It's like, so now you're even 10 times, right? The guy's panicking. He's trying to remember his line. He's just mumbling and spitting stuff out. Nothing makes any sense. It's like,
And Kevin's telling you you're a dumbass.
yeah,
Right. Yeah.
You just squandered your once in a lifetime opportunity. Way to go.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think when I had my airing party, and this is always a litmus test for me, my youngest, who's now 25, it's hard to even believe that you guys met Chris, he's 30, but my youngest, he's a shit talker. I mean, I wonder where he gets that from, right? But so he watches the whole thing. He's usually my litmus test, like if I did well or not. I just remember him looking at me going, how the hell did you even pull that off? He goes, I can't. They were like drilling you from every angle. You just kept coming back with something. I said, well, when you're the youngest in your family and you grow up in the hood, it becomes easy, right? Because you're always fighting for something. You always believe in something. And even Damon at some point said to me, yeah, I can see why. I like the product. I would have done the same thing. And after it aired, so any of the valuations we had that they thought might have been high, we exceeded them after the first weekend. And I'm like, how do you like me now? I told you needed an audience. It got an audience.
Yep.
You got to believe in it. You got to believe in it.
Yes, you do. And like us, we went out there and every shark went out, and Kevin was the last one, and you could see he was circling us. And, he took 33 1/3%. We're giving him $1 royalty, but I'll say it's worth every penny. Being on Shark Tank it's life-changing, and look where it's led us already just in the short that we aired September 30th of last year. Just in that short period of time, Kirk and I have traveled around and met some amazing people like you two and the group that you guys have put together. It's just been unbelievable what's
life-changing. It was life-changing.
It really is life-changing.
Yep.
And the network of people, and that's the key, I think, right?
Absolutely.
I probably wouldn't even have known you guys, honestly. I saw that you aired and I saw you guys and I remember telling Carmine, who are these dudes in chicken suits? And then I remember calling you and I said, wow, this guy seems like a pretty cool dude. And obviously now that I know you guys, it was like you guys fit perfect into what we're doing. And you're just like the two of the greatest people we know, and you're surrounded with all these other great people, and we just have a bunch of fun together. And we give back to people who need help. I mean, does it get any better than that?
That's what it's all about.
I myself was even shocked. I mean, you've got Aaron Krause of Scrub Daddy up on that panel, or several panels, and I'm just looking like, here's a guy that's built a $100+ multi-$100 million business.
700 million now. $700 million company from $100,000 on his earring.
And he's giving back to the community. And if he can do it and he makes time, we got to make time, because we're right there at the beginning of things where we can help people. We remember how to, the simple things of starting and setting up an LLC. And Aaron's so removed from that he's helping with the even higher level things. But us being new and we can share some of our experiences on that lower level sometimes.
That guy is one of the best dudes that I can tell you that I know. I mean, he's treated my wife like the highest level of respect. Like I text him, he texts me back. I asked him to call me last week when I got back. Afternoon, he called me. We talked for 30 minutes. He's just a good dude. Anytime I need help or anything from him, he's always there to participate. If he's around, he's doing it. We've even gone to Eagles. I'm not an Eagles fan. I dressed up in Eagles stuff to go to I hate Dallas, so it made it easy. I went to an Eagles game with him. Just a good dude, like Judy Edwards from Squatty Potty. She always, she wasn't at the houseware because she was traveling, but she was in Vegas. She always does events, become friends with her.
That was another huge product.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, these guys are just great. Rick Harper's always helping out. And like you see Kelly Higney now, she's like the woman version of Aaron, right? She's blowing that up. She's another incredibly smart person who wants to help. And how much better is that, right? That level of talent around all of us to be able to give back to somebody trying to start out. Like this woman I talked to today, Kelly, 20 years old, has no idea the next steps. I mean, like, she's calling me. She's, I don't want to take up your time. I said, listen, you got me. I got an hour. Use all of it. Tell me what you need. I'll help you anywhere I can. And that's what I find. Like, even in corporate America, I found myself wanting to build the right teams, because in the end, it just builds a lot of great culture, and then the bottom line fixes itself, and then you can give back bigger bonuses, bigger raises, and you just keep building this community, and people love it. And that's what we're doing, with the UIA. Carmine, talk a little bit about the UIA. What are our next steps? We're getting a lot of big shows. We want to do more stuff with Shark Tank. Talk about that a little bit before we close out.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to encompass all the things that are happening with the UIA. Thank God for all the people that not only you brought in, but people like Brian and Kirk. They're bringing more people in. We were just before we started recording, we were talking about doing some more things and bringing it in. And so it's basically, exponentially growing. And that's what a good team does. No one wants to micromanage people. You couldn't do it because you can't grow by doing that. So the UIA has been around for over 30 years. It's one of the biggest inventor organization that no one has heard of. It's one of those things where if you're not in the inventor community, you may not know anything about the UIA. We have over 100,000 members. Not all of them are active within the community, inventor community. So, but now bringing the spotlight and bringing all the people that you and Kurt and Brian have put together, just the people you just mentioned, we're really starting to grow that, going to more shows, starting to get noticed, and being able to help more people. And that's really what it's all about. It's a nonprofit. We're putting on programs and groups and training, and we're going to be helping more and more inventors. And it's such a great feeling. I mean, just sitting here, you talk about Scrub Daddy and Judy, and, in another year, I mean, just think, Brian and Kurt, those guys have a head start on you. But in a couple more years, we're going to be going, holy shit, Brian and Kurt were talking to us, I mean, that's what's great about this is in a couple years, you guys are going to be another product and this and that, and you're going to have millions and millions of dollars under your belt. And what's great is you're not going to say, I'm too busy. And that's what's awesome about this Shark Tank effect, that most of you guys are giving back community because you did it. You worked, you busted your butt, and you know what it feels like for these young inventors, for people starting out. And it's such a great feeling for me to know you're already giving back.
and you took a chance, right? It's a risk. There's always a risk with anything you do. You took a chance, and it's paying off. And to me, that's the most important thing, is that, like, you got to teach people to get out of the shell a little bit. Look at Kirk said he was like not used to talking in front of people. Now look, now they gotta cut the camera off on him.
Got little big hooks.
But it is good, and I see how you guys interact with everybody, and to me, that's fulfilling to me. That's inspirational to me. It keeps me wanting to work my butt off to make sure, like I told Carmine, when I put these programs on with him, I want to make sure everything is organized. Like, that's my background. Organized to the T. The pitches have to be clocked, and the script has to be right. The panels have to be right. We had some amazing panels. I mean, it was like a couple of the pitch panels. Like, I even had Aaron's his business partner Will say, "Dude, that was one of the best pitch panels I've ever seen, ever." The products were great. And
that Shark Tank pitch panel that you guys, amazing. That was awesome. That was,
yeah, it was really, it's a really good, for people like me, you know, because I did that back in 2017 and I was a nervous wreck, but I like how you gave them a chance to come up a couple times. So they went up the first time, and then the second time you could tell that people felt a lot better about it. They were a lot more comfortable.
Yeah, we try to do one product, two panels, typically.
Yeah. And what a lot of times people don't realize is, even prior to the show, Chris already is doing webinars with the people who signed up for Boost, teaching them and answering their questions on how to pitch. So that's just more time that he's volunteering that people don't know about.
I didn't know that either. That's awesome.
Yeah, because I also want to make the experience good for you guys, right? I told Carmine that's equally important for me, is that we have an audience, right? A good audience that can learn when we have these experts up, and then we have the products, and the pitches are good, because I don't want to waste people's time being a judge. Like, Aaron, right? He's a pretty busy guy. I want him to be able to give real feedback to real people that pitch properly. You don't want somebody. I've had people where I was at Make 48, some guy talked this whole time about nothing, and his time was up. So he didn't even get a chance to talk about his product. We want to teach you, like really get the message out. What are you solving? What problem? What does your product do? What are you trying to accomplish? So we want to teach that before they get in front of that panel. So that experience is good for the inventor, and it's good for the judging panel as well as the audience. So all of that is really important to me. And I know Carmine and I work really hard to make sure everybody knows about it. And you can see now it's getting bigger and bigger, and the legs are growing. And I think this is going to expand into something incredible for all of us. Yeah. So I'm excited to have you guys on the team. You two are two of the best. I really love you guys. It's really fun to be around you, and that's what motivates me. So Carmine, I think on that note, I think another great podcast, more great information. We'll keep doing this, and then we'll keep blowing up in the shows, and continue to support the national trade shows throughout the industry.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Anyone who's out there listening, keep watching the podcast. We're going to have all kinds of Shark Tank winners on. We're going to be talking about ins and outs of secrets, all kinds of stuff. The stories are phenomenal. Also, if you're not a UIA member, please go ahead and join. It is UIA.usa.org. It's free to join. Go ahead and sign up. If you need some help, you can email us or contact us right from that page. And, we're here to help. And, people like Brian and Kurt, I mean, for them to even come on the show, they were out in Vegas. They were here at the Houseware Show in Chicago. I mean, that is commitment. These guys are busy guys, but they're not going to walk around going, "I'm too busy to help you." And that's what's so great about it. So, Brian, Kurt, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
It's the Shark Tank effect.
Thanks for having us. It's truly an honor to be a part of the United Vendors Association. And just for all the listeners out there, and if we can do it, anybody can do it. Stick with it. It's going to be tough. Your inventions, you're going to hit some hard roads here and there, but stick with it. That's the best advice I could give is study and research what you're doing, but stick with your idea.
And use the resources that like the UIA, find us on LinkedIn, reach out to people that have been there and done that. Don't be afraid to do that. I know that people could be intimidated, but we've been there, done that. So we're ready to give back to the community. We're ready to help the UIA. The UIA's been helping people for 30 years. So lean on these people that are putting together these resources. because the resources are going to help, and it's going to save you a lot of time and heartache and headache and money in the end by doing things the right way. It could shorten your time too to get to market or whatever goal it is that you want to achieve.
Very good. Awesome, man. All right, Chris, I think we're good for today. What a great,
Thanks, guys.
show.
Appreciate having you on. It was really enjoyable.
All right.
Yeah, that was so
Thank
much
you.
fun.
All right.
Anytime
well, thank
you
you
want
guys.
us to come on, you let us know.
Yeah,
All
we
right,
love
thank
it. All
you.
you listeners
right.
out there, thank you so much for Brian and Kurt and Miss Christopher Guerrera. We thank you for listening to the Shark Tank Effect. I'm Carmen Disco. We will catch you next time. You all take care.